What's going on, everyone? So with the San Antonio Spurs, a couple things that I'd like to see them do is get some shooting. I think kind of the most glaring hole for this team is the lack of shooters, right? Harrison Barnes was their best three-point shooter last year, probably is going to continue to be. I mean, he's the veteran. He's the guy that's been there, done that, the stability. But we'll see what kind of strides Wemby takes. But going off of last year, he was very streaky. Stephon Castle struggled to shoot the three ball. Dylan Harper was not great shooting the three ball in college. Is he going to be a good three-point shooter right out the gate in the NBA? Probably not. Right? Jeremy Sohan is non-existent shooting the three ball. You kind of go, again, across the board. Even Vassell and like guys like Keldon Johnson, they can be very streaky at times. So again, if you can find that better balance as far as shooting the basketball, bring in some shooters. I've also talked about, can you bring in some quality, just youthful upside potential pieces that could be a part of your rotation, or maybe even be a guy that moves into the foundation in the starting unit and is like, man, we just really hit a gem here. You could make an argument for some more veterans, sprinkle a couple more vets in, and kind of really help try to grow and expedite your young core and foundation. Because got to keep in mind, this team is going to get expensive, and they're going to get expensive fast. You're already seeing it with the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? Wemby in 2 seasons is going to be getting paid, and then the following season it's Castle, and then the following season it's Dylan Harper, right? Like in 4 years, this team's going to be a second apron team very fastly. So you want to kind of use these next 2 years, really get what you need, carve out what you need, figure out what needs to be done in order to kind of better, expedite this process. And again, that could be through, taking a couple flyers on some young guys, trying to find a nice gem here and there. Get a guy or two, I've talked about an Amani Bates. Can you maybe hit on a guy like him? Or you go the veteran route to, again, kind of help raise the tide for the young guys, but also just give you some experience out there that you can trust in big games, big moments, and, things like that. But one guy that I would love to see kind of the Spurs take a flyer on, right? They still have 2 main roster spots open. So there's kind of this okay, what do they do and how do they fill those 2 spots? And one guy I would love to see them maybe take a flyer on and see if he could fill that shoe is Caleb Houstan. Right, so Caleb Houstan was on the Orlando Magic. They didn't extend his qualifying offer, so he is a free agent. And he's 22 years old. He just turned 22 in January, so he won't be 23 till the middle of next season. And he's that 3... it definitely needs to work on some D a little bit, but he is a 3-and-D style forward, right? He's 6'8" in size, slot in at the 3, slot in at the 4. With his shooting ability, he's a guy that maybe can, even slot in at the 2. He's a guy that is probably best in that small forward position, got some athleticism, plenty of growth, upside, and potential, right? And it's those kind of guys I want to see the Spurs maybe take a couple flyers on. All of a sudden, he comes in and he's, the lights out, just shooter that you've been looking for, and a guy that, can kind of be an assignment guy in spots. And it's like, hey, we're going to give you, 12 minutes, 15 minutes a night, and you're going to get 3 or 4 threes a game, and we need you, can you knock down 2 of them? Right? And, many nights he might, many nights he won't, but, kind of just give you that. But he also has the upside, the potential to become something that could really, kind of help this team going forward. He comes from Michigan, so he's pristine, right? Organization that just hey, we got to play both sides of basketball. Right? He definitely needs to work on his defense, but he's not atrocious defensively, right? It's something that you can work on with him. He has the tools, the size, the length, all of the abilities that you want to see from a young man like him, to where he may end up being one of your premier 3-and-D guys in the next 2 years or something, if you really take the time to develop them, right? Orlando kind of were in this spot where it's they're trying to win now, they're trying to compete now. You see them making moves and making changes for a Desmond Bane, whatnot. So it's they don't really have the time to kind of build and develop this 22-year-old into being a quality piece. You know who does? Team like the San Antonio Spurs, who, again, for these next 2-3 years, that's what you're looking at. You're looking at them developing these guys. Dylan Harper starting to come into his own. Stephon Castle starting to come into his own. Victor Wembanyama being a clear-cut, 3 to 5 player in all of basketball at worst, right? Maybe he's the best player in 3 years, right? You just kind of go down the list of these guys. Carter Bryant, what does he look like? Julian Champagnie, can he kind of continue to take strides? Jeremy Sohan, right? Can he finally develop any type? If he can, Jeremy Sohan is just a serviceable three-point shot. Not even an elite three-point shot. Just a serviceable three-point shot away from being, exactly what the Spurs team needs, right? His defensive versatility, his ability to make plays and kind of be that Swiss Army knife, right? There's a version of him that is just brilliant for this Spurs team, but definitely needs to work on his offense. But, you look at Caleb Houstan, it's kind of hard to gauge exactly what he could bring because, the most he ever played was 16 minutes with Orlando, and that was his rookie season. And he, even then, only got 3.6 field goal attempts per game. Right? You look at the same thing this past season, 58 games played, 6 games started. He averaged 13.6 minutes per game, only got 3.3 field goal attempts. He shot 42.1% from the field. He shot 40% from three-point range on 2.8 attempts. Even the previous year, shot 37.5% on 3.3 attempts. Gave you 53.3% from 2-point range on half an attempt. EFG of 58.9, so basically 59%, which is very good. Free throw shooting, 88.2%. He's a career 84% guy, but on 0.4 attempts, so not a ton of attempts. Rebounding, grabbed 1.3 rebounds, an assist, half a steal, be nice around up, half a block, and we gave you 4.1 points. If you look at his per 36, now per 36 obviously doesn't tell you everything, but it kind of gives you an idea like, okay, what could he be if he was in that actual starter role, getting quality minutes, getting 30 plus minutes per game? He'd be 11 points, 3.5 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and half a block per game. Like I said, he's got all the tools. He has the potential. He's already an excellent three-point shooter. Hey, he'd be potentially one of the best three-point shooters on the Spurs immediately, which the Spurs, again, really could use some shooting. But beyond just the shooting element of it, he's also a guy that I do think can emerge as a good defensive player. I'm not saying elite, I'm not saying anything like that, but just a very good defensive player. Who knows? Maybe he could even be one of the better perimeter defensive guys. But, he has the tools. He's had moments in games where he's been very good defensively with Orlando, but he needs to kind of just buy in and stay focused on that side, learn to kind of shift better, understand kind of matchups and positioning at a defensive level, right? A lot of times he's kind of just out of position defensively, and that causes for some of those defensive limitations, where if he can kind of fix that, correct that, kind of, make those adjustments, all of a sudden he could be, again, one of your premier kind of 3-and-D guys on this roster. And in today's NBA, you can't have too many of those, especially if he really does emerge as a legit 3-and-D wing. You can't have too many 6'8", versatile wings that can slot in 2 through 4 for you on any given night because of their shooting ability, right? So that could help and kind of go a long way for a team like the Spurs. But I don't mind it. I'd look to maybe give him a flyer, but let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. As always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out, so we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.